Innovation. It is the creation of better or more effective products, processes, technologies, or ideas that are accepted by markets, governments, and society. The introduction of something new, a new idea, method, or device. The act of innovating, introduction of new things or methods.
I think innovation happens when there's a need for it, when we're sort of tired of the same old thing. I think innovation is sort of what drives the university. We're all thinking of new ideas and not just the same old theories as before.
Innovation is coming up with something new, something completely revolutionary, or make something completely different.
I think innovation is a new invention or a new technology that can facilitate or enhance someone's life.
The city of Gainesville is turning to innovation to improve our economy by creating new businesses and using new ways of thinking to not only better the lives of the community, but also the world. Let's take a look at some of Gainesville's outlets for creativity and advancement. The University of Florida has been tied to some of the biggest developments in innovation for decades. One of the most prominent creations in the sports health industry was a product of Dr. Robert Cade.
Gatorade is a wonderful story, and I think most people in Gainesville know the story that really Dr. Cade was a nephrologist. He was a kidney doctor, as was his team, and they were really interested in why, in essence, the football players at the University of Florida, when they were practicing in August, were entering early kidney failure. And it was because at the time they were told they couldn't drink water and they were supposed to take salt. And so literally they were keeling over at the end of practices. So he came at it originally, as did the people working on it, not in order to create a successful international brand, but to solve a very specific problem, which is how do we help the University of Florida football players. A team of researchers worked on not only making it work and making it chemically the best possible combination so that your body could really absorb and hydrate, but also they spent a lot of time getting it to taste right, because the first formulations really tasted horribly.
Dory Hipschman will serve as director of a museum in honor of Gatorade's founder, which is currently in its early stages of development.
The Cade Museum was started was originally founded in 2006, but they had been working on it for a little while before then. And it was the idea of Phoebe Cade Miles, who is Dr. Cade's youngest daughter, and the Cade family, as a way to remember Dr. Cade and recognize him, and also to recognize the team of people who made Gatorade a successful product that it is today. What we're trying to accomplish with this museum is really to honor the spirit of Dr. Cade and the inventive people who worked with him. He exuded the love of life, the creativity, the opportunity to try new things until the day he died. And this museum is really as much about that spirit as it is about anything else. It's finding the joy of everyday life, of thinking about things in new ways, creating new things, and maybe changing the world. The museum is really devoted, and our mission is to inspire creativity, to inspire future inventors, so we have more people like Dr. Cade, and early entrepreneurs. We want to get people so they are starting their own companies. Most of the growth in the jobs and the economy, both in the past and also in the future in this country, will come from people starting new companies. This location was selected from many that were in Gainesville that were looked at, and actually Dr. Cade was still alive at the time when they selected the South Main location for a couple of reasons. One of the things that they were looking for was an area that would be accessible to people throughout the community, and South Main is very, very central to Gainesville. It also is a wonderful conjunction of the bus depot is here. All of the bike paths and trails come into what will be Depot Park, and it's very accessible for everyone. We're hoping to get the museum open in 2015. We sort of look at the Cade Museum as feeding the pipe that will take us into the future.
It's inventions like Gatorade that has inspired the Gainesville Chamber of Commerce to create Innovation Gainesville. The mission is centered on their 5 elements of innovation: live, learn, speak, invest, and celebrate.
IG is really the community's plan for economic development, and it's to grow jobs in health and green technologies so that the citizens of our community have opportunity.
So on a day-to-day basis, our job is to increase the business capacity in Gainesville and Alachua County.
That Gainesville is the place where people are changing the world by making cool things happen. Every day, people in Gainesville are creating products that make the world a better place. Gainesville's been named a top tech city in Florida and is a national hub for green and health technologies.
You're starting to see the fruits of that labor with Innovation Hub, Innovation Square, with a number of the companies that are coming out of our incubators and are choosing to stay in Gainesville and build their companies here.
So what does the Innovation Hub mean to our community? Well, first of all, it's unlike any other incubator that you're going to see in any other community. And when you look at Gainesville, we're blessed to have numerous incubators, more per capita than any other community in the United States.
You'll have the Innovation Hub, which is an incubator of sorts. Idea hatched there, company grows, moves into another building in Innovation Square, continues to grow, comes up with a product that needs to be manufactured. There's various opportunities for that throughout the county of having manufacturing space. And so from that center will blossom opportunities. Our greatest asset in Gainesville and Alachua County was the knowledge that we have here. We have incredibly smart people who come here on an annual basis.
How do we take those smart people and make sure that they have opportunity? How do we take those smart people and create jobs and make companies? How do we take those smart people and make them available for companies that want to come here?
One of the things we've heard is that if you want to attract the researchers and the research companies, proximity to that university and that $600 million in research and growing is something that's vitally important to their success.
A big part of what Innovation Gainesville is about is collaboration, that when companies are making a decision about growing or being here, time is money. And what we want them to be able to do is not have to worry about those sorts of decisions, but just be able to jump in, have a place, make sure it works for them, and go do whatever their business is. Whatever focus and innovation that they have, they can go innovate.
Visually, I think what we'll see out of Southwest 2nd Avenue will be the way we'll measure our success. At the end of the day, we believe that better businesses mean a better community.
We just want to make it as easy as possible for our members to do business every day. That's the Chamber of Commerce motto, but we want to make it easy for business in Alachua County, period.
The University of Florida has extended its footprint of innovation even outside of the Gainesville city limits. Located in the city of Alachua is Progress Corporate Park, where one of the nation's premier biotechnology incubators has been active for over 2 decades.
We're one of the 1,400 business incubators in the United States that assist startup companies, but we're different than most because we specialize just in bioscience companies. What do you think of when you think of an incubator? You think of baby chicks, you think of baby babies. Think of this as a place where you grow baby biotech companies. And the reason you need a place like this is, maybe the easiest way to think about it is, imagine if Steve Jobs had been a biotech entrepreneur. Imagine if Bill Gates had been a biotech entrepreneur, or Zuckerberg, who started Facebook. They could start those things in a California garage or in their Harvard dorm rooms, but you can't start a biotech company that way. You need a different kind of setup, and this is really what we are. We were given a 40,000 square foot facility with labs and offices, but we were also given $1 million of shared scientific equipment. It's kind of like having your apartment with a college roommate. You know, you're sharing the oven and the stove and the refrigerator, and that's what the companies are doing here. And the investors love this business model because it means that their money goes further. The company doesn't have to spend the first $80,000 that they give them just buying equipment to get set up and start their lab. They can hit the ground running, they can use their money in other ways to advance the science, and it's a really nice business model for investors. They like this kind of program. Why did UF start this program 16 years ago? It's because it knew that a lot of the things it was discovering that could turn into exciting products that would help our world, help people, you know, medicines and food and things that would help create a greener environment and new energy, They knew that those types of companies needed a special kind of setting because of the equipment and financial needs. The fact was, back in the 1980s, the federal government passed some legislation that actually for the first time ever required universities to try to commercialize some of their research. You know, with all the money taxpayers give to research through the government, it's nice for them to see some return from that in terms of products on the market. So Pasteuria Biosciences is actually one of our most exciting companies this year. This little company, about 18 people, has signed an option to be bought by the largest agribusiness company in the world, which is Syngenta. And they're doing something really important, which is they're finding a safe, natural biopesticide way of controlling the world's biggest agricultural pest that we don't have any chemical controls for. And it's these nematode worms that eat the roots of crops. If any of you garden, you know about nematode worms. They reduce crop yields all over the world, third world countries, even in our country. And typically it's controlled with methyl bromide, which is really, really a nasty toxic chemical. And this is the first company that has found a very safe, effective, natural way of controlling these nematode worms without having to use these bad toxic chemicals. There's a lot of little heartwarming stories here. People work hard in these companies, and this year's been our best year so far. We've had one company acquired, one company transition to a public company, and one sign an option to be bought. There's a real keen interest, of course, in keeping jobs here, never so much as during this recession. And the truth is, this is a wonderful community with a great quality of life and a lot of smart people. It's a very attractive place for many people to stay. And so the Chamber of Commerce and various entities get involved in trying to encourage these companies, we do as well, to continue to locate here.
One step that has already been taken by the Chamber and the university is the development of the Florida Innovation Hub. Its main purpose is to bring fellow inventors and entrepreneurs to Gainesville with a goal of launching startup companies.
The Innovation Hub is the first building in Innovation Square, which is a 12 contiguous acres that we plan to create a research community in. The Innovation Hub is actually an incubator facility, which is designed to provide an innovation ecosystem that is going to bring all the key elements together for creating high-tech companies, which will ultimately create jobs in our community and help us to commercialize research coming out of the University of Florida. What brought on the development of the Innovation Hub was truly the stars aligning. There was an opportunity to write a grant for the construction of the building. That opportunity came about as a result of disaster recovery money that was offered up by the federal government. And we got together, wrote the grant. The university had been talking for several years about building a new incubator near campus, and there were a lot of different constituents in the community that came together to help make it happen.
Closer an incubator is to campus, the more robust are the businesses that come out of it. And this is a fact observed out there from San Francisco, Austin, and the rest of the world. We get about 300 inventions a year out of our faculty. We license over 100 of these patented inventions every year. We've started over 130 companies in these last 10 years, so we've got a lot of technologies either on the market or under development. Centricon, which is a termite protection detection system that Dow has on the market. Oxygen, that has nerve regeneration technologies that restores nerve function to people who've lost it or never had it. That's actually performing miracles out there in the marketplace. We have a unique opportunity here, 4 blocks from the university campus with 12 acres available to us to build a research park around the Innovation Hub. The Innovation Hub will be the only, is planned to be the only UF owned and operated building in the square. The rest of the buildings are planned to be owned, operated, developed by private sources, private developers and companies, if you will. The square will be home to dozens of businesses that spin out of the University of Florida. It will be home to large corporations who want to come do business with the University of Florida, and we already have discussions underway with some of those, as well as any other number of businesses who want to be involved in this dynamic research park.
The artwork in the lobby we're calling Inspiration's Journey, and everything you see there are representations of new discoveries that have come out of the university. In the bottom left-hand corner, you'll see blue-green algae, which Dr. Heinrich Lusch is working to develop cancer therapies. On the far right, you see the coils that are being used in the air cooling system of the Gator and other NFL football players to prevent heat exhaustion. When you go up, you see the semiconductor chip that is being manufactured by Sinmat, which is one of our local startup companies who use a special slurry carb finish to make that more efficient. And then up on the right of that, you see Sharklet Technologies. Dr. Tony Brennan became curious as to why things weren't growing on the bottom of sharks like they were on whales and other such creatures of the sea. And what he learned was that it was the topographical pattern that you see to the left of those sharks that prevents things from sticking. So originally he was going to use that to apply to the bottom of ships for fuel efficiency, but great minds got together and they've since applied that to hospital surfaces to prevent hospital-acquired infections. And then up on the far right, you see the unmanned aerial vehicles. Another one of our startup companies, Pasteuria Robotics, manufactures those. And then on the top left, you'll see satellites, which we have a number of researchers doing work in as well. And so from the bottoms of the ocean to the far reaches of outer space, we believe that UF discoveries are transforming the world.
Even before the opening of the Florida Innovation Hub, the Office of Technology Licensing has been helping students and future entrepreneurs to get their business ideas off the ground. In this day and age, the music industry has seen its share of technology advancement. Grooveshark, a locally founded company, has revolutionized the music listening experience.
The original idea for Grooveshark came from my partner, Sam. He was driving by a buy-sell trade CD store and thought that we should have some kind of a buy-sell trade concept, but digital and online. That morphed a lot over time. By the time he met me, the elevator pitch for Grooveshark had already turned into competing with piracy by creating a better product, which was really what attracted me to it. The way that Sam laid everything out for me, he said that there's this issue with digital music, and it wasn't just that some music was free and some music wasn't, it was that the illegal music was usually better. There were more files available illegally than legally. Usually the legal files were restricted. They had DRM on them at the time, so you could play them on an iPod but not a different player. You could burn them to one CD but not multiple CDs. And he said that was a huge problem, where consumers were literally given a choice of either paying for more or stealing and getting something better. So you know, his thesis was that there was probably some way to rectify this issue, and that we could do it on the product side by having a better technology or a better user experience or better service in general. So when we were first getting the company off the ground, it was myself and two other guys. We had no idea what we were doing. We definitely had no money. So the first thing we did was look for help wherever we could find it. All three of us were UF students, so we approached the Office of Tech Licensing, and thankfully they worked with us to get our initial patent filed, which was very helpful, not only because we had some kind of protection behind our IP, but also we had the stamp of credibility of UF helping us. And that was very influential in letting Grooveshark grow as an early company. It means a lot more to have two 19-year-old guys walk into a room and give the pitch and say, oh yeah, you know, we've also got UF's backing, than us just doing it alone. You know, if you start a company in Silicon Valley, you do have immediate access to lots of potential investors, lots of potential, you know, high-profile employees, business partners left and right. But the cost of starting an operation is gigantic. It's unfathomable compared to the starting cost for a company in Gainesville. So being located here allowed us to start our company by really bootstrapping it, by taking in little bits of funding at a time, and by kind of growing organically. And I think that that's something that not only was a decision that made financial sense for us, but it also allowed us to grow the way that a company really should grow. So we started the company in March of 2006. And you know, again, the goal from then until now has always been to compete with piracy by making something better. Piracy is a gigantic problem for the music business. I mean, this is a story that I think everyone knows pretty well ever since Napster, but depending on the numbers that you look at, it's between 90 and 95% of music consumption. It still, to date, is illegal. So on one hand, that's a huge problem. On the other hand, it's a huge opportunity. There's a lot of room for innovation and disruption in the space. We look at services like YouTube, and we realize there are ways of delivering content for free where it's free to the end user, but it still generates revenue, you know, through ads and things like that. So from there, the challenge almost became looking at what YouTube had done very well for video and figuring out a way to do the same thing for music. The first 2 years of Grooveshark's history were a lot more complicated of a product than we have right now. We hadn't yet learned the whole less is more philosophy, so that we changed a lot of things over time. Eventually we moved from a downloading model into a streaming model, and that's kind of what allowed us to simplify our product focus. And middle of 2008, that was when we put up a version of Grooveshark that's similar to what we have today. You know, all of that being said, though, you know, watching the growth process for everyone that we work with has been unbelievably exciting. I mean, a lot of us started off as freshmen together in college, or maybe sophomores, and I mean, now we're running a real company, and we're you know, taking it to wherever it's going to be in the next few years.
Today, Grooveshark reaches millions of users locally and across the world. Whether you're listening to music at home, on the go, or out enjoying the nightlife, Grooveshark offers a universal and compelling new platform for the audiophile in all of us. Digitally streaming music has the potential to be the next greatest technological innovation.
We've always taken everything at Grooveshark one day at a time, so it's a little bit crazy to look back on where we were just a few years ago and see the scale and the growth and how everything has changed. At the time, I was worried about starting a company here, but I'm very glad I did. I wouldn't have started anywhere else. You know, as far as any initiatives that are going on in Gainesville right now to help early stage companies get off the ground, you know, Grooveshark is a big supporter of all of that.
Gainesville is a growing city, holding vast potential for progress. Its citizens have been making strides in innovation for decades, dating back to Gatorade, now one of the most recognizable products in the world. The Chamber of Commerce, along with the University of Florida, aim to instill a community-wide focus on creativity and advancement.
How do you help kids be more innovative from the time that they're very young and keep those attributes going forward? We need to have a community that celebrates creativity and invention. It needs to be a community that understands the various steps, processes, and excitement about being creative.
This is a long-term effort, and it's about creating jobs for today, tomorrow, and the future.
I feel like in a small way we're helping to not only impact our community but impact the world.